Welcome to the greatest of the greatest, a podcast that you never knew you needed, with interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice, asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Full Buddy Cast.
All right, everyone, thanks so much for listening to the episode of Full Buddy Cast. Full Buddy Cast brought to you by Cole Street Brewery, 1627 Cole Street, Enumclaw, Washington. Go down, say hi to Sean, get yourself a nice beer. Cruises will be kicking off here again, I think May, June, and so, he's obviously open for that. Watch those beautiful old classic cars coming on down the road. In the meantime, there's going to be some other events downtown as well on Cole Street, and he's always open for those. Also, go to Bordeaux Wine Bar. Say hi to everyone there. Say hi to Sid, and mention Full Buddy Cast. Get $2 off. Take yourself in off your first flight or drink. Also, get 15% off at Cole Street. Do the same thing. Or Mazatlan. Say hi to Andy. Give him a hug. Give him a little kiss on the cheek. And Enumclaw Mazatlan, he'll hook you up there as well. And then also just got Dan Coot Snyder from O Chef Country Kitchen order the Travis Kenny on DoorDash, and take a screenshot of that and send that to me. I always see that, and it's always fun for me. I was actually able to deliver my first order with the Travis Kenny order out to Susan Ferguson. She's amazing. She's lovely. And then stay tuned on Facebook because we're going to be doing some Full Buddy Fridays as well. We start off at Mazatlan, and we'll head on down to Cole Street and Bordeaux to finish the night off. Coming up here as the weather gets a little bit warmer. All right, so here's the thing, guys. This is a absolute first. I'm super excited. Been doing this for 7.5 years. I'm probably at 600 episodes now, and I've never done this yet. Started out Full Buddy Cast. Started out full, all the buddies, Buddy Cast podcast, right? So Full Buddy Cast. Play off a Full Body Cast. I had my buddies on, people that I knew, people that I grew up with, whether it be junior high, neighborhood, high school, work. Could have been somebody that I, maybe went to church with. So many different friends. We all collect them throughout the years, and then we reminisce all the stuff that we do. All right. So then, fast forward, it turned into where we had some pretty staple shows. One of them being Garage Night with Craig and Corey Bentley. They brought on Nick Tanner. Nick Tanner played, and we actually had a full band interview with the band that he put together. And we actually went down to, I want to say that was the Yellow Beak. Yeah, Yellow Beak, and we watched him play, went live there for a little bit, watched him play. Nick hits me up probably about 3 weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, I know a guy, but you've never met him. So this is why it's the first it's ever happened." And he's interested in possibly getting into the podcast realm, maybe vlog, video podcasting, which I don't do because I got a voice for radio, and a face for video, but a voice for radio. And so I said, I need to go voice for radio. I know that people have heard the face for radio. No, I have a face for. I get that, but no, voice is way better. Anyway, we got a guy I probably had one phone call with, but he's got some stories. So we had to get him on. I'm showing him a little bit of the ropes of the recording, but mostly we're going to hear from this guy. His name is Billy. Last name, or do you want to go by Billy, or do you want to go by, what do you like going by?
I'm like the devil. I have many names.
That's a very, when you introduce yourself to all these listeners, the first thing you say is, "I'm like the devil."
I have many names, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I was born Billy. Let me see here. How do I go about this? I'm Billy Painted Horse, Custalow. The Painted Horse is from my native tribe in Virginia, the Mattaponi. The name that I took many, 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 many years ago when I found out how we go about choosing our names in the tribe. I tell people it's because, I'm tattooed, so I'm painted and I'm hung like a horse. Speaking of which, it's an honor to be out here in Enumclaw, the land of Casey Kane and nervous horses.
Very nervous horses.
Yeah, I see they're a little jittery out here. I just wave to them and tell them I'm out here for other reasons. and they seem to don't mind me.
Yes.
I have that native, connection with them.
I like
But
it.
no, so Billy Painted Horse. But I've also been known to go by Nikki Custalow, Nikki Saint Custalow, Nick the Saint Custalow, Saint Nick Custalow.
These all aliases? Are you,
No,
you running from the law?
so interesting enough. Many years ago, when I was a little boy growing up in Richmond, Virginia, California was a place to be, right? Like it was New York, or California, if you wanted to be a rock star, movie star. And me, I don't know, just never had a desire for New York, man. Just never bring them up. But California, hot chicks in bikinis,
Yeah.
surfer waves,
Okay.
and like David Lee Roth was like, dude.
Yeah.
Van Halen, like, and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be that flamboyant front man that sang in a rock band, acted in movies, and surfed in my off time. And
Did you accomplish any of that?
close to a couple, but no,
Not all of it.
No. I'd probably break myself if I tried to surf. But but I do love being out on the water, man. I'm like a little kid. You give me a little raft, a little boogie board, man, and I'm just like I'm 12 years old again. I just turned 57 last Monday, actually.
Nice. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. God has been good to me. He's given me 57 cycles around that big burning ball in the sky. But I was growing up in Richmond, and I learned about like how actors had and musicians had stage names. This word stage name. So I was like, you can. And me, I mean, when you're a kid, you're such a little shit, and it's like, I can't wait to get away from my parents. I can't wait till I'm grown up. That's like the dumbest thing you will ever say in your life is, I can't wait to be an adult.
Right.
Yes. You're like, you realize when you get there, like, I was wrong. So I found out that you did. So I also found out that this babysitter of mine, every day she would just, oh God, the soap operas, when you're a kid, staying with a babysitter, you have to, soap operas. And at the time there was this soap opera, and it's still on, in fact. It's called The Young and the Restless.
Okay.
And there's Victor Newman and his wife, Nikki.
Mm.
And I love that name. And I had the biggest crush on her forever. So I found out that also that Nicholas, there's Nicholas. And so guys could go by Nikki too. So I was like, I'll go by Nikki.
Nice.
And then as I'm in high school, I'm like, I'm already in that mindset as like, my, starting high school. And then all of a sudden this band comes out called Motley Crue.
Okay.
And there's a bass player in that band, and his name is Nikki, and I found out how his real name is Frank.
Okay.
But that, so I'm like, okay, so I can do this, right? So this is going to be an interesting story. I'm glad you asked me this, because I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm like, oh, good. If I tell him this, it's going to have to lead to this. So here's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon effect that
the Nikki 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
This the Nikki me degrees, because I tell people I'm famous to famous people.
Okay.
Like, so,
okay.
I know a lot of famous people, and I can guarantee you, if you mention my name to them, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know that dude."
Oh wow.
Like, he's still alive. Holy shit. So graduate high school in Richmond, Virginia in '85. Bang around just doing dumb shit. I'm surprised I didn't get locked up for a long time. Running around with the wrong people, doing the wrong stuff in Richmond for a little over a year after graduation. Had a deal go down one night. Me and a buddy stole a truck from the place that he worked, went joyriding, ended up with a bunch of Richmond City cops with guns drawn on us at like 2:00 in the morning. The boss knew it was us doing it. So he's like, just bring the truck back. I'm not going to press charges. So they let us go. But my life flashed before my eyes. I'm 19 years old, and I'm like, I almost got arrested for, and got this cop with a gun in my face. Man, I might have been born here, but I can't die here. So I'm like, I got to do this thing. I got to do this thing that's really like, go to California, I got to be in Hollywood. I got to be in Hollywood. I got to be on Sunset. So I got to Hollywood. And there's, like I said, not one podcast is going to be able to fill this. And there's plenty of stories. I got stories I can tell you about my travels from the time I left that night, Richmond, in August of '86, till I got to California.
Right.
There's a whole story in there of like ending up in Texas.
Sure.
So like I said, I've got a magnificent, amazing life that I've lived. God has been very good to me, and for some reason, He keeps keeping me around. So He must have a plan.
It's the video podcast.
So, apparently, yes. Apparently, I must be seen. So I get to California. I'm homeless, living in LA, but nevertheless, we get up to Hollywood and hang out. I'll never forget Michael, the guy that owned the Rainbow. It was my first couple of nights in LA. We had dropped our stuff in a locker at the Greyhound station. We walk out. There's this black guy sitting on the loading dock in the alleyway behind the bus station. Says, "Hey, you guys come here, man." We walk back there, and he's like drinking a 40. He's like, "You guys just get here?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man," he goes, "I'm gonna show you guys around." He goes, "Here," and he hands us the 40, pulls out a joint. He goes, "You guys smoke?" I was like, "Sure." So he lights up a joint, hands us the 40, smokes, introduces himself, gets down, walks over, stands at the bus stop with us. We're standing there for a few minutes. All of a sudden, he grabs both of us and pulls us back from our back collars and just
rips you guys backwards.
Backwards. This Impala is creeping with cholas in it, man. And they're looking for somebody. Lights off, creeping in the Impala. And he pulled us back behind the wall because he is like, they saw who they were looking for in there. They smoke everybody to get them.
Wow.
So he's like, you see that? Like, so I quickly learned in LA, you're in a jungle, keep your head on a swivel, kid.
Always moving.
Oh my God, dude. Like, if you can have someone watching your six, do so. So, anyhow, I got there. So many stories I could tell you in there, but ended up guy finding me in his laundromat sleeping in Redondo Beach, takes me in, lets me sleep on his couch. One of the few straight men in Los Angeles. I didn't want something from my cute little long hair, blonde haired, blue eyed, cute little rocker looking ass. Believe me, there was plenty of them that were, they helped me out, and I kept an open mind, open heart, and closed zipper, and just told them, like, hey man, I don't judge, but I don't judge, and but I don't get down like that, but I was usually good at cracking jokes with them, and so if you can make a gay man laugh, they'll probably be your best friend, because they love humor. Yeah. So anyhow, this guy Mark Sale, God love him. I wish I could see him again just to thank him for everything he did for me. Took me in. He was 30. I'm 19. He wants to live vicariously through me. Okay. So here is this long, because he's a businessman. He's clean cut and all, pretty big buff guy. I didn't realize that, because he was always dressed so demurely. Guy was working out at the gym. He was working out at the gym unbeknownst to me and my friend, and like we just thought he was a computer programmer in Marina Del Rey and just a stop. No, and I'll tell you why that mattered later. So anyhow, he starts coming with me up to Sunset Strip, and we get there one night. Now I've gone to the store. This is 1986. Now this is the winter. Yes, this is probably November-ish. Yeah, probably the fall of November, 86. I've gone to these stores and bought spandex. I've got this ridiculous black and red tiger stripe spandex pants with the tore up t-shirt, and then the matching long red and black tiger striped spandex coat, like a duster. My hair is all CC DeVille fried bleached because I had dyed it black and didn't like it, so I went and stripped it out. So I'm just down there looking like a light bulb with bad fashion taste. In hindsight, I thought I was hot shit at the time. It's 1986, and I'm standing. The reason we're in the upstairs private bar is because, so many things. Going back, homeless, going to the Sunset Strip. The black guy gets us on the bus, takes us up Hollywood Boulevard, gets us out, walks us around. Most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life walks up, talks to him, walks away, and I'm like, that's the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. He goes, oh, right price, you can have her. He explained to me how the big fish in the little pond come to LA and become minnows, and a lot of girls end up, I was like, wow. I mean, just stunning. Wow. Just stunning. But anyhow, he made sure that we got safely up to Hollywood from the Greyhound bus station. Walked us up Vine. You guys are Whiskey A Go-Go right there. Just looking at it like, yep, we know it. And, there's the Rainbow and Gazzari's, and, it's like it's to a rocker, it's historic. I mean, you watch Cheech and Chong movie, Up in Smoke, you know that spot. And it's like, I'm here, man. Like, I'm this boy from Richmond, Virginia. I'm standing on Sunset fucking Strip, man. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, can I? Yeah. Okay. I just didn't know if there was the Christian family members like, oh my God, why do you have that guy on?
I mean, I do have that, but
it's all good. We'll tell them about my Southern Baptist upbringing later. But anyhow, we go up and we're standing there in the line to get into the Rainbow, and we get up there and realize, oh, there's a doorman and you have to pay or whatever. I don't remember if you have to pay or not, because there was a restaurant and a bar. Anyhow, we're standing out there. This nice, well-dressed man comes walking out, meeting everybody, walks up to us. Hi, what's your name? I go, I'm Nikki. He goes, where are you from? I go, yeah, I just hitchhiked out from Richmond, Virginia. Wow, really? You came that far? And yeah, I go, this is my first time on Sunset Strip. I said, and the first place I wanted to check out was the Rainbow Bar and Grill. I go, because like you guys were just,
Yeah.
He goes, you came all the way here, and the first place you wanted to go was my club? And I go, yes, sir. He goes, takes me and Michael out of the line. I'll tell you how I met my friend Michael, God rest his soul. Took us out of the line, walked us over to the doorman, said, give him a stamp. Stamped us, took us over to the bar. So first round of drinks are on the house for these guys.
Wow.
He says, Nikki, thank you so much. He goes, I really appreciate you choosing me because you have a great time, man. Thank you.
Wow.
So I developed this relationship with the owner. So now, kick it a couple months down, I've slept in cubby holes and beaches and welfare motel room in Compton for about 9 days.
Wow.
That was another story. Trust me,
sure.
like I'm saying, that was an adventure. Anyhow, gotten around LA. I tell people I've slept on every beach from Santa Monica all the way down to Laguna Niguel, man. Or Laguna, anyhow. I know the rocky beaches of Laguna, if you don't believe me. Yeah, I've, slept in Costa Mesa and, had to find places to curl up and by the grace of God and the kindness of strangers, I was, fortunate enough, like I said, keep an open mind, open heart, and be polite and respectful. And it's amazing how far you can go in the world.
Yeah.
But anyhow, now I've met this guy, Mark, and I'm telling him about how awesome Sunset Strip is and the rocker chicks, and he likes heavy metal music too. So we get along famously. And my friend Michael, I'll fill in the details on him later some other time. He's coming. He's tagging along with us. He's hanging out with us. He's living in another apartment upstairs, sleeping on a guy's couch. But he's hanging out with us now most of the time. And so we all go up to Sunset. I'm all decked out in that ridiculous outfit. We go in and we have dinner. Me, Michael, and Mark. We all sit down. We're going to have dinner. Now, a few nights before we were going up to Sunset just for shits and giggles, a weeknight. We like to hang out on Sunset on any days that ended in Y. A few nights, something like that, before the three of us had put down a bottle of vodka through screwdrivers and got nice and warm and fuzzy, and took off driving from Redondo, going to go to Sunset and just see what's up. Well, we turn into Manhattan Beach there and about to head to PCH. And these girls go, oh, my God, rocker dudes, hey, pull over. So we pull over. And within moments, we've got it looked like the starting line for the UCLA Bruins football team out in the street, not happy that the girls they've been working on are now suddenly distracted by the long-haired pretty boys. Should not get too far details on that to get off the story. I ended up putting two of those cowboys, one in the hospital in need of stitches in his face, and the other one probably will never have children.
Oh my God.
And it was fast. But anyhow, my friend Mark and Mike saw me. They saw what I did. This is before I got trained in MMA to get a handle on that shit. I was just like a street fight. I've been fighting since I was a kid. When I told you earlier, the mixed race thing growing up in Richmond, Virginia in the 70s, and there's, a lot of dynamics there.
Sure.
So fought all the time, and usually it wasn't one, it was usually this guy and his brother.
Yeah.
I get the family package. Yeah. Like, woohoo, look at me. But anyhow, oh God, where was I? So we got in that fight with them. I'll say they saw what I did. And, so Mark is plenty well aware I can handle myself. Because he saw that one guy, man, like this big muscly dude. He saw wow, dude, you really messed him up, Nikki. I'm like, I was just, instant. He came at me. I turned, put his face into the wing mirror of the truck that I was leaning against, and he he
How was
kissed
that?
it. He kissed it. And like, he had two choices, fuck around and find out or don't,
right,
You're
right.
like with that old scale guy goes, you see, the more
Yeah.
the more you're gonna,
Yeah.
so here we are, we're standing in the sunset, or we're eating in sunset. And we see one of the a couple tables around us have reserved tags on them. So, and ours had one too. I think they put one on ours too. And I was like, huh. So anyhow, we're eating and we're getting close to done with dinner, but we're not done. And we want to go upstairs to the private bar, because there's DJs spinning music. You could drink up there. And then there's an upper loft where like the rock stars hang out or whatever, whoever, I guess, gets to the loft. Anyhow, we're sitting at the table and Michael comes up. He's like, hey, Nikki. Hey, Michael. I said, introduced to my friend Mark. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, we're bringing you business now. So now that I got money, I'm not homeless anymore. I'm bringing business to you. He's like, I really appreciate that. And, and so Michael, I guess he passed recently. A friend of mine in LA, informed me about it. But it was funny. She talked to him when he was alive and he remembered me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. Like this guy remembers this homeless little urchin from Virginia that, the guy's just heart, generosity from him was incredible. But anyhow, he comes up, he says, Nikki, I'm so sorry to do this. He goes, but we have this table reserved for, oh God, what's his name? The drummer for Anthrax. Or no, the drummer for Quiet Riot. One of them, Frankie Banali. I think, it's Frankie Banali. So the drummer from, Frankie Banali, the drummer from Anthrax or something. Oh, okay. So anyhow, like I said, the drummer for Quiet Riot or Anthrax, I think it was Frankie Banali. His birthday's in late November. So anyhow, Michael says, hey, sorry to bother you guys, Nikki, but table's reserved for this party. Could I possibly get you guys to, I say, dude, we were about done anyhow, Michael. We were going to go upstairs to the private bar. He said, got you. Takes us up there, gets us stamped. Goes in, tells the bartender first round.
Another
it's on the
round.
house. Yeah, like so. So like I said, I've already had 2 drinks downstairs for dinner.
Couple drinks up there.
and probably had a couple back at the apartment before we left.
And this is the same night. Is this the same?
This is
where you got in the
no.
fight?
This is a few nights later.
Okay,
This is a few nights later. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
We just, like I said, we loved going to Sunset Strip, man. It was just.
But Mark, or was it Michael? Michael saw that you could
Ma-
handle yourself.
No, Mark, our
Mark's-
friend Mark. Yeah,
can
my
handle-
friend Michael's
Okay.
my friend Michael's with us. He's 6'3", 220 pound. He's pretty decent sized guy, but green, naive. Oh boy, he was learning on the fly, but he had a lot to learn. There was a few times where I had to check him and just yell at him like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you're gonna get us
And you're
killed."
19. You're
Yeah, and
string bean,
I'm out here like definitely not looking like someone that can take on much. But anyhow,
So you're loose.
so I'm loose at the upstairs private bar of the Rainbow Bar and Grill on Sunset Strip, and this is a November night, 1986. Now, most people out there that have met the guy will tell you, and this is going back to the Nikki story, right?
Yeah.
So I'm standing there in that ridiculous outfit of mine, that spandex. Spandex was the thing, man. And dude, I thought I was hot. No, in retrospect, I really was. I was a hot mess. But standing there, and we're just chilling. We're not bothering anybody. We listen to the music or whatever, and looking around. And up in the upstairs loft, there is one Vince Neil and his entourage, including his bodyguard, Louie, and, chicks, obviously. So anyhow, we're there for a little bit, and, I kind of catch them, like, looking down and laughing and shit, and they're mocking me, because I probably looked, just like a
What is this guy doing?
well, I know, just like a total poser peacock, But I mean, I was young, dude. I was new to LA, and I was just wanting to be in the experience,
Right.
I knew I was a singer. I knew I could sing, and I played saxophone, and I played some guitar. So I knew I was a musician. Like I wasn't a poser as far as not being a competent musician, and I knew that I could sing really well. So that was my thing. That's what I was looking to do. But yeah, I didn't have a fashion designer there walking with me going, yeah, don't wear that. Just you know, or a girl with like, you know, fashion taste, like to go, you really shouldn't wear that out. But I did. And like I said, I probably had a few drinks before I put that ridiculous outfit on, you know. I mean, look at how David Lee Roth dressed in those videos and get back to me and tell me how ridiculous I really was. You know. What was it? Crazy from the Heat. I mean, Jesus Christ. So all of a sudden, this girl comes down from the loft, beautiful, but drunk, ditzy, just dumb as a bag of rocks, and walks up, stands next to me, and looks at me, and she goes, "Hey, what's your name?" And I looked at her and I go, "Nikki," and she goes, "Like 6?" And I go, no, more like 9.5.
Oh gosh.
And she looks and goes, she gets this confused look for a moment. And I said, and I stopped. I go, look, honey, do me a favor. I said, go back up there and tell Vince if he wants to talk shit, don't send his little bitch down here, bimbo down here to do it for him. Tell him to man up and come do it himself.
Wow.
And I said, now run along.
Wow.
And I sent her off. And she goes up there and she says, literally repeats what I said. And now here comes Vince popping up and he starts heading for the stairs. And then his bodyguard, Louie, comes down and like Vince is coming down and I just turn around and I smile. And I had told Mark what had just happened. So Mark was fully aware. And I said, here it comes. And now Mark sees the light in my eyes. He just saw that light a few nights earlier. Like he's like, oh no, Nikki is primed right now. So he tries to get in. So he and Louie both meet like what do you call it? An unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, right? Yeah. So we've got Juggernaut and you know what's his face and Deadpool. But they come together and Vince is behind Louie and I'm standing behind Mark and I'm just grinning like, oh, I'm going to be famous. I'm like, I'm not even going to be famous as a rock star. I'm going to be famous as whipping the shit out of one in the rainbow. And, you know, Mark looks at him and says, and the guy, Louis says something, and I'm just like, if you want to go, big dude, we can do it too. Like, I'm like, I don't care. And Mark knows, like, yeah, he just took a guy about your size out in Manhattan Beach a few nights ago, dude. Like, he might not look like much, but he goes, you ain't putting a finger on him. He goes, you're going to have to go through me to do it. And he says, and I've seen what this guy can do. He goes, and if you let him get a hold of him, it ain't going to work out well for him. And I looked at Vince and I'm like, don't listen to him, Vince. He's just talking shit. Come on, man. Let's dance.
Yeah.
And Vince is chirping and Louis looks at me and he looks at me and I'm just looking at Louis like he can see the light in my eyes. I'm like, yeah, let him go, dude. Let him go. And he turns around and looks at Vince. And he says, Vince, shut the fuck up and go back up there and sit down. We don't need this shit. You know, it's like, yeah, man, why are you coming down here slumming with the peasants, man? Go back up in your loft there, mister, you know. Leave us poor little poorly dressed, you know, dummies in spandex alone. Let us drink and think we're hot shit. Yeah. Like, you are a star, man. I'm thinking here, thinking I can feel like one if I get one or two more of these cocktails in me. You know, the owner of the place got me in here and gave me a drink, man. I feel like I feel like a hot shit right now. I almost feel like a rock star. And you had to come down here and shit on my parade, man. Yeah. Like, all you had to do is come down, introduce yourself, and say, right on, dude. Right. You know, it's like if he only knew, bro, I'm out here because of guys like you, like you and Rat, you know, Stephen Piercy and I want to say Don Dokken, but yeah, I like Dokken. I don't know. I take him really well, but no, that metal scene, you know,
was what brought
me there. I wanted to be part of that. Like David Lee started it off for me. But I wanted to be there. But that was so funny. The whole Nikki thing worked out to where, like, when I realized that I wanted to take a stage name, Nikki from The Young and the Restless was the original inspiration.
Just
But then
added
the
onto it.
confirmation
Yeah.
was knowing that, oh, this guy Frank that plays bass for this band Motley Crue goes by Nikki.
Yeah.
So I can do that too if I want. And then I can still be honest about, tell people, well, this is my real name, but
Yeah.
because I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's an industry thing. So that's a long-winded story of why I have so many names, and
Dude,
Nikki and the
that's
variations.
a half an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good though. That's good though. It's all interesting. Here's the thing about with podcasting, and the thing with podcasting. This is for those that are listening too. I get asked all the time where they're like, I want to do a podcast. What do I need? What do I need to get? I get that constantly.
Right.
And I like to help it out. One of my buddies named Henry Van Dam races race cars, dirt track, wing cars. He not anymore. He used to, but when he got into it, because the sport obviously needs drivers, but it's a community sport. It's like, oh shoot, this thing broke. Here, you can borrow our thing and we'll put it on there. And you got all these different pit crews helping each other out.
Right.
And that's kind of how I view it, is that when people want to start to do it, let's do it. Let's talk.
Right.
And so there's some weird number. I forget the number. I remember reading an article about it, especially when I was getting into it, but the millions, so many millions start up a year and then, only like 10%
of them
keep
survive.
going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's because two things. The first thing is people burn out after 6 months.
Right.
And
right.
then the second thing is, or they hit the 30th episode.
Right.
And they've ran out of things to talk about. Yeah.
Can I correlate that to something?
Go for it.
Can I go? So are you ready for the next half hour of the podcast?
Well, that's fine.
So, like I said, the name Nick.
Well, wait, before I go, I'll let you go.
Okay, go.
But my point was, if we had a half an hour and that we just got your name,
yeah,
you've got
and one story.
Yeah, you've got based off of that,
Yeah.
you've got years worth of hundreds of episodes.
My biggest hold up on it though is here we go. I did this show in Seattle for 10 years on public access.
Okay.
From 1997 till 2006, I did a show, and what I'm told, not blowing my own sail here, but I know the work that we put in. It was a show called the Waterboy Sports Show. And I did it for 10 years. I produced it and hosted it with a friend of mine, Paul. He was the prophet and I was the saint. So it was the saint and the prophet, Saint Nick and the prophet Paul. And
was it always around sports?
It was always around sports,
Okay.
but it definitely diverged. I went on tangent. Oh, trust me, I'm one of the most foul-mouthed people you'll ever meet.
Well, public access. What years was this? What years?
97 to 06. So in the heyday, when God is King was on, Mike Hunt, Mike Aves, he's a good friend of mine. In fact, Mike came on the air one night. So many stories I could tell you about that. Like I said, I've got so many stories. An amazing life, dude. Yeah. Incredible life. A lot of this I want to do for my grandsons. I've got one that's going to be 2 in July and one that's going to be coming into the world here around Memorial Day weekend. So 2 times grandpa. And I really want to leave some sort of, record for them to go back and listen to or watch.
Right.
But my thing is I used to do the TV show and I was bouncing off of other people.
Right.
I had Jamie, the water girl, Jamie Thorson, who was Jamie Ritchie Thorson, who was our water girl. I met her one Saturday when I was doing some production work in the studio for the show. She was on this show called Spotlight on modeling, and her and another girl. And I said, "Hey, you girls interested in being on a sports show?" So anyhow, Jamie stuck around, and total godsend, best promoter you ever find for something. Man, she just was into it. Like she and I have just recently started talking again, and I've got a fan page now on Facebook, Fans of the Waterboy Sports Show. It's just a private group page, just because there's so many thin-skinned little pussies out there. They see something I said 20 years ago and have it the thing taken off. But I did this show for 10 years, and it was a labor of love. I didn't get paid a cent, but what I did do was one, we were the only show. And this is a public access show now. And I'm doing this. I'm working at Puget Sound Energy. And I'm for a little while there, for a couple of years of the show when I first started doing it, I'm interning at KZOK. So I'm working there in the production department with Darren Erickson doing work. So Steve Slayton was a fan of the show.
Oh, cool.
Gary Crow, a fan of the show. And so, you can seriously, you call Gary Crow up sometime and ask me, hey, do you know Nick Custalow? And he'll be like, hell yeah, I know Nick. Like, yeah, in fact, he got Gary Haugen, the Mutt, or Greg Haugen, the Mutt, the boxer from out here in Auburn, world, his middleweight champion or whatever he was. Got him on our show. We had one of those. Had the internet been around back then like it is today, we would have had a viral moment with him.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. He called Mike Tyson that animal that runs around in the dark. Yeah, he called him that on our show. And me and my co-host were just jaw dropped. And, it was just like the show must go on and maintain and be fresh. Don't say. And because we didn't, I found out a long time ago about the knee-jerk, over emotional reaction and demand of certain people in public. When you're in the public eye, it's crazy how psycho people are out there. But I got death threats because we didn't jump in his ass about it. It was just, and it just happened so quickly, and he kept talking, and so it was kind of like, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to stand here and call a world-class boxer out on your show? I mean, yeah, maybe he knocks me out and I get paid.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
But then again, it's Greg Haugen. I don't think he has any money. So I'm probably going to get my jaw broke and embarrassed on my own show and be like, I didn't get shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, so I did this show for 10 years, man. And like I said, I was really into it. I went to National Broadcasting School back in 88 when I first moved up here. So every story has other stories attached to it to make it's a panorama, right? Like, right. I've got so many because everything I tell you just links to something else. I'll give you a little taste of my local connections up here. Like I said, I did the Waterboy Sports Show, so we were known. Mike Avez of the Mike Hunt Get Your Friend Laid Show, big fan of ours. You can, if you ever talk to him and ask him, do you know Nick Custalow? I guarantee you he'll be like, love the guy, because he came on the phone one night. And literally told us, he said, folks, he says, this is the best fucking produced show on public access. I guess there was some other show that was on. I never met the guys, but apparently the show on a few nights late, like on Tuesday night or something. People told me these guys were on there just railing like, this public access station sucks. Everything on here is just crap, except for like one show. Because like the Waterboy Sports Show is the only show on here that's worth a shit. And I was just like, wow, we're getting praise from people I don't even know. I'm like, right on, man. But my whole thing was I endeavored to be entertaining. I went to Jeff Aaron, used to work with Mitch Levy on sports radio, Jeff the Fisherman. Okay. I went and talked to him and said, hey, like, what should I do, man? Like I want to do something. It's like, I'm trying to get these guys in the industry's attention here, It's just, don't be ESPN. Don't try to be ESPN. So, I went in there with that thought, and so we were just over the top. And I used to call it the 1 solid hour of uncensored sports power. And we were profoundly profane and profanely profound. And I was like, parents, I'm telling you right now, this is not an after-school special. Put your kids to bed out of the room. If you leave them in the room, there is one guarantee. And I'd look at everybody and go, what's the one guarantee I make on this show? And they go, he'll corrupt your children. I'm like, I will teach them words they've never heard. I said, and they will use them prolifically. So, anyhow, I had a blast doing it, and I had so many good people. I created an environment. I want to say we created an environment that was so fun, a culture that was so fun that people kept showing up every week doing it for free. Yeah. People wanted to be on the show. They wanted to work on the cameras or in the studio booth or whatever, or just be in the audience. But it got to the point like, Big Low, Seattle's biggest sports fan. Yes. Lauren would come in and co-host, fill in. He'd co-host with me, or a lot of times when I was married, I'd go to Mexico or whatever, or to Vegas or whatever for trips.
I like that.
The ex's family lived in Vegas.
I still like that.
Family owns a big business down there, a landscaping equipment business down there. At least they did. But yeah, my ex-brother-in-law, in fact, in Denver, was the team photographer for the Denver Nuggets and also the team photographer for the Colorado Avalanche when they won the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I got to go on the floor with a couple games here in Seattle for one when the Nuggets came, and then on the floor when the Bulls with Rodman and
Way
Pippen and those
cool.
guys played. I got to be on the floor with him. I got to go in like before anybody came in because he's the photographer setting up the strobe and all
Way
that.
cool.
So yeah, it was a lot of I'm of all the things I miss about my wife, my brother-in-law is the one I miss the most.
I hear you.
So, he and I got along famously, man. We just clicked, and it was funny because we were two ends of the spectrum, and it just for some reason, like the opposites attract thing. He and I just got along really well. But anyhow, like I said, I did the show, and we had so many wonderful people that kept showing up. And I was like, if I can do this with no budget,
Yeah.
like imagine if you gave me money.
Yeah.
And then I got divorced. I kind of went and I had a neck injury and a back injury happen to me at the job. And, you've watched this recent Netflix show with Matthew, what his name is, about the Sacklers. The Oxycontin epidemic. I'm one of those people in the early 2000s when the doctors were giving the pills out.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who had literally their minds, their personalities, and their criminal records destroyed because of a work injury that turned into a pill addiction. Dude, my doctor at one time had me on Percocets, Valium, and this new product that I was supposed to cut into fourths because it's 100 microgram a patch. Cut it into fourths, only wear a quarter per day. And I was just slapping a whole patch on unbeknownst that this is 100 micrograms of fentanyl.
Whoa.
Pharmaceutical grade fentanyl now, transdermal.
Yeah.
I'm wearing 100 micrograms of that, popping 30 milligrams Percocet, 20 milligrams of Valiums, and hopping on my brand new custom $25,000 motorcycle, Big Dog Wolf, 2000 Big Dog Wolf, and riding, tooling all over, Seattle.
Wow.
Just like in the hand of God, just warm and fuzzy,
Yeah.
And then I've had to come off those things 3 different times.
Oh, shoot.
Well, during the time, I started dating this girl. I won't go into, that's another story for another podcast. But a lot of things went off the rails for me because of that pill issue. And it sort of diverted the show. My intention, my goal at the time, because public access had changed, they had done some shit and they were making some new demands. And like it was going to make our ability to do our show weekly harder because I was going to have to start actually paying people probably to show up because they had to get certified, signed off. And I had to have 5 people a week minimum. Like sometimes, dude, we'd do a show by we'd have 2 people. There'd be like somebody in the booth running everything and then somebody running out to the studio and doing this and then running back into the booth and helping, but some nights we'd have a full crew and people standing around like nothing to do. Yeah. So, it was hit or miss, but they changed all the rules and everything. So I was like, it's 2006. There's this new site called YouTube. And man, I talked to the guys now about it and I'm like, can you imagine where we would be if we had just taken that show 10 years with our following, moved it over to YouTube and just kept plugging away.
Yeah, just grind it out for a bit.
Right now we'd probably, I'm like a few million followers, you think?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's 18 years of just
or bought out
pimping and getting it, or bought out. Yeah. And that was the whole thing. Like, I would talk to these guys. So my ex-wife, owned a barbershop. Well, she bought it from the guy that gave her a job there, but, up on Queen Anne at the Counterbalance right there at, Queen Anne and, Gaylor, where the red steps are and there's the dry cleaning place there. And right next to it, there's that barbershop.
Okay.
That barbershop there, the Counterbalance, my wife worked there for years while we were married. And she cut all the radio and television and newspaper guys' hair.
Really?
Yeah. So I go in there one day to see her, and Alan Schaffler is sitting there from King 5. And I'm talking to him about, Alan, I'm doing the show, and, he's asking me how it's going and all. And I'm like telling him my frustration, like, I keep doing it and nobody calls, man. Like, I keep trying. He's like, yeah. He goes, well, here, do this. And he says, take your tape, because I had made this highlight tape about 6 minutes long, just clips from my show, an introduction, interview bits like with Coach Bender and Kate Starbird, and that's another story. We were the only sports show in Seattle that would even go and cover the ABL, the Seattle Reign. We actually I still have the press passes tucked away at my house.
Wow.
Had press passes. Oh, the lesbians glaring at us when we'd go into the locker rooms at the post game to do interviews was just, it was epic. It was so just joyous.
Wait. They would glare at you with the players?
No, the girls that were fans that are standing
okay.
outside after the game,
They saw your white male privilege walk
and they
in there.
saw, me and my co-host who've got press passes are, dudes are walking in, and here's Jennifer Azzi just smoking hot in person as she is on the television screen, and she's wrapped in a Tylenol, and we just take a couple minutes, mind if we ask you a few questions, and we're totally professional about it, right? But they don't care.
Right.
They're just seeing these, swinging eggplants walking in there, getting to talk to their love interest, and but yeah, we were the only show to do that, really in Seattle, to actually go in and cover the ABL. Another thing that we were the first and only show to do, after doing the Waterboys for a while, 28 minutes, live show. And we would just be getting warmed up. And it's like, oh, you're done.
Yeah.
Oh, man, come on.
Yeah.
So I went to him and I said, hey, we're watching the screen. There's just the community blue screen after our show. There's nobody in the hotline studio. So you think you can maybe open up some outside? Because we have the ability to do a live hour show. Like, we barely getting going when we hit the half hour mark. We can do a half hour or an hour show. Would you be willing to open up some blocks? So they did. And I went to the lottery and bid, and the Waterboy Sports Show, Hand to God, was the first live 1 hour live show, big studio live show on public access.
Wow.
So all those shows you'd seen for years and years and years, it all had been maximum half hour. Live half hour show.
Push the boundaries.
And I just told him, I was like, hey, we have the ability to do this. Like, I told him I could do a couple of hours, man. Like, you kidding me? I can talk.
And they want that,
like, I'm the son of a Southern Baptist minister. Are you kidding me?
and they want that, right?
And they said, yeah. Well, they wanted the blocks filled up. Well, they want the blocks filled up, if they can get, so.
And
so we
views.
did, and it worked. Oh man, it worked. God, it worked like a charm, because it really did. But I used to tell people, I'm a musician, man. I'm like, this is just methadone for a heroin addict. Doing a 1 hour live show. Yeah. I'd go in, I'd get off work, run in and do the, pre-production work on the editing booth and all, and get everything ready for the show. Labor of love, but tedious. The editing part is tedious, right? And the first time it's exciting, but after the 50th, and the 100th, and we were on for 10 years. So you understand, I've been doing a lot of editing for a long time, and so it was a labor of love. But like I said, unfortunately, the opiates got in the way, and that's what kind of took me off the track. But it's just recently people I've been talking to are like, dude, you've got to do a podcast, man. Like, you've got all these stories, man. And I'm like, I want to, but the thing about that sports show was I had other people to bounce off of. It doesn't feel like I'm just sitting there gloating about, hey, I did this and I did that. This form right here, like I have with you, this is perfect. It is a host that asks questions, that keeps me on path. Doesn't let me go too far off a tangent, or reminds me when I go, okay, what the F was I just talking about? But yeah, I just feel like that's a more conducive way of telling a story, so I don't seem like I'm embellishing.
Right.
And that's something I will also say. You can ask me a week from now, a year from now, a decade from now about a story that I told you. It's going to be the same because it happened. And that's the great thing. Like, I think it was Mark Twain that says, the great thing about telling the truth is you don't have to remember all the details, because it's like when you lie, you have to, like, okay, you remember the lie from the lie.
So my suggestion on all this,
yes, sir.
Now that I listened more from what you got, I got two things that are just ringing in my head right now. Okay, first one is
that's called tinnitus. You should get that checked out.
Check it out afterwards for sure. If I were you, possibly, obviously listing out guests, getting ahead of on that, saying, "Hey, I'm doing this. I would love to have you on," because they're going to be able to also cement some of those stories.
Right.
And also, you sound like you have the best memory in the world.
It's
But
pretty good
every once in a while,
for a stoner. Yeah,
somebody else may be like, "But do you remember this?" And then you're like, "Oh, that's right."
You know that. So my friend Michael, as I said, God rest his soul. There are stories from the time I met him on the highway in Virginia, and he stuck with me all the way across the country through all the shit we went through. And thank God, man, because as naive and as green as he was, man, having somebody watch your six, sometimes it's easier to be on your own when you're going across the country like that. It's easier to get a ride. It's easier to get help. It's also easier to get disappeared.
Yeah.
So having this other guy, that was a little bit bigger and strappier than me, that, could hold his own, it helped. Believe me, it worked.
Having a guest on, being ahead of schedule.
I was going to say the unfortunate thing is the stories that like I know from the time I met him to all the time in LA, and then he's the reason, the girl he met is the reason I moved to Phoenix, and my whole life changed. Everything that has come in my life was because of a decision that I made because of him to leave LA and check out Phoenix, this town we had driven through. We had rode in the back of a ranchero on the way to Riverside. Guy dropped us off in Riverside. I just remember riding through Tempe, I believe it was. We were coming through Tempe, and you had to stop and get gas, and just looking out, and there's these hot college chicks, walking around. It was like, geez, wow, where is this? Like Tempe, Arizona, where's that? Like, it's in Phoenix. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm like, cool. I don't know. I'm, learning as I go. But all I know is LA.
Almost there.
Yeah. So I came back to Phoenix, and unfortunately, so I have some friends. There's friends in Arizona. Some of them won't return my calls or texts for some reason. I don't know what that's all about. Been 8 years and he still won't return my. That's another story for another time. A dear friend I've known for many decades. A lot of stories and history with, and for whatever reason, man, they're just there's a block there, and I don't know how to remove it. So I've kind of. I've extended my hand, but there's only so much you can do. Sometimes people just don't want to talk. So, but unfortunately, like I said, several of the people that were involved in my stories have gone on to join Jesus in the dinner hall, and I wish they were still around. Like my friend Jay, the stories I have. So he and I, he went to school with Ice Cube in Phoenix, the Phoenix Institute of Technology. Ice Cube was in school with him there, engineering, same time that he was. And then he took the money that his mom, his rich family from Alaska, owned a construction company up in Soldotna, very wealthy family, had given him money for schooling and his rent and tuition, and he blew it all on coke. So he's about to get booted from his apartment. Mom's coming down, going to find out he's not in school, doesn't have an apartment anymore, and so he's shitting bricks. So I'll skip some of the story because it's too much detail, but I go and get a job in June. I just got back to Phoenix. I took off back to Virginia for like a month, thinking, okay, I've had my stint of LA and now Phoenix. I'm going to go home. And, I was a little homesick. I think it was a girl back in Virginia that I was pining for, and I got back and that didn't pan out. So I was just like, what the fuck did I come all the way back here for? So I stuck around for about a month, worked, and then my friends called me one Saturday morning, like, we miss you, come back. And all I could think of was the rage and desert parties. Let me tell you, dude, Phoenix in the 80s, brother, you couldn't have been in a better city in America. I'm telling you. But I get a job as a roofing helper in Phoenix in June.
Oh my gosh.
I worked 1 week. Oh. That's all. Got the paycheck, went and bought, I hope I can talk about this on here. I went and bought a 16th of Coke. My friend Jay was like, Nikki, we're fucked, dude. We don't know what we're going to do. And I just met Jay. I just met him, like maybe February, March of this 87. I had just gotten to Phoenix like late January. And I said, all right, well, I said, here, let's go buy a 16. Because he knew a guy. the characters, man, that come to mind. So he goes and gets it, and I said, here, we're going to break it up like this, and just sell this much for this much. And then we're going to take the money. It's like, first thing you're going to do is take $50 and go get some fucking groceries in this house. There's nothing to eat here. so we got food. And that was one day. It just took one day to turn this over. And then within a few days, I'm picking up quarter ounces. And then within a couple of weeks, I'm picking up ounces. And when like a few months go by, now I'm picking up quarter pounds at a time. And literally just 5 or 6 months into it, we meet this kid. I party with this kid, Tracy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, my uncle's Laeme down in South Phoenix. I can hook you up with some really good shit." So we start getting like the primo. We're two 20-year-old just rocker kids, just dicking around with business savvy, mind you. But I told my friend Jay, I said, "This is what we're gonna do, man. We're gonna make a profit. We're going to pay up front. We're never going to get fronts. We don't give fronts, and we don't ask for fronts. It's cash and carry." And then eventually I wanted to get us to a point where we were going to go legit. Like I was going to start taking the money and investing it into, like I had plans, man.
Yeah.
But it was about 14 months of two 20-year-old, 21-year-old kids just fucking around. And now I've got a great story in here that you're going to want to hear. And it might be a good one to wrap it up. I don't know how much time you want to go, but like I said, this is a great story in that time. It took me and Jay years before he and I would talk about it and laugh about it, but he's passed on now. He passed away in 2013, and I miss him every day. He was the best man at my wedding, and he was one of the best friends I've ever had in this life. But he and I had agreed when it happened to never talk about it.
Well, we got a cliffhanger at some point.
Okay.
On this one.
Okay.
But,
so I will leave with this.
Yeah.
I will leave with this then. We almost killed Axl Rose.
That is a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
What a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
On that one.
Yeah. I can give you the details on that story. Yeah, and if anyone doubts me,
No.
just go research February 13th. It's a Saturday, 1988, and see if Axl Rose's ass wasn't in the Phoenix hospital recovering from an overdose, or maybe that was Sunday the 14th because they canceled it. They had 2 shows.
Oh my God.
February 12th and February 14th, 88. My birthday is the 19th.
Yeah.
So
you're
I'm literally a week out from
Yeah.
turning 21. And we get, me and my partner Jay, I say partner, business partner.
Of
Okay.
course. Yeah. We knew you did
I'm all about the ladies.
You did a little bit of California stint there. But then,
No. There was plenty of gay men, but there was never reciprocation. No. And I always made sure they washed their hands.
gosh.
But we had tickets for the 12th and the 14th show at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix. And Jay and I went to the 12th show. And so we gave our friends tickets for the 14th.
This is a cliffhanger.
So our friends got back to us and said, dude, show got canceled. We're like, what?
You're cliffhangering this.
And
You're
I said,
telling the story. Stop.
I said, okay. No, and that's what I'm saying. And I said, oh, tell me more. And so that's where I'll leave it.
Okay, I like that. All right, so here's something I was going to say. My last thing, but I want you to hear this. Okay, this is what I think.
By all means.
If I could be, so right now, what I think you should do: get the YouTube channel, get a camera.
Oh, I've got all that.
Get a microphone.
I got a YouTube channel,
Okay.
Painted Horse.
And then go promote yourself like crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But I think you nailed it with what you wanted to do with the public access.
Yeah.
And you go live Mondays at 5 or Mondays at 7, something like that.
Right.
Where everyone knows they're going to find you online live.
Right.
They're typing in. All the technology's there, and easier to access. And so they're typing in their questions. They're hitting you up.
Right.
And then but then it's recorded. It's sitting there.
Right.
So then people can go back and watch it. So you're killing 2 birds with one stone.
Yeah, no, I've got pretty much everything set up. The one couple of walls, like I was telling you, was like the split screen.
Don't worry about that.
Just
get rid of that.
Yeah.
Don't even think
go.
about it.
No. That's how I have been going. It's just straight one camera face on.
Live.
Yeah, and
live.
Right. I've done that a couple of times.
And
I've already done that.
But consistent at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Build. Yeah, and that was the thing, is pretty much that. But like I said, the one crutch, I guess, the one thing that was holding me up, like I said, is this kind of banter. Two people,
Someone
even if there was
driving
a third guy or gal sitting here too, working stuff, watching the chat, whatever, and then chiming in as well, that works too, because having those different perspectives and reminders of like, hey, remember you said this, or like, because that works for me. That works for me. And like I said, I can sit here and tell the stories. I'm a Southern boy, man. Like, I'm from, like I said, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. My father and grandfather, both Southern Baptist ministers. So it's already in my genetics,
Yeah. We're gonna close this with shout outs or shit outs. Now, shout outs or shit outs is I close every episode this way.
All right.
I'm going to do my shout out.
Okay.
I want you to think of either one thing you're going to shout out, or maybe you don't have anything to shout out. You're going to shit out something terrible that happened that you hate. So maybe the guy cut you off in traffic and you're just like, or a shout out of just like, it was cool. And this, these people have been really cool in my life. And then, quick 2-minute thing there. But so you think of yours, I'll do mine. I always shout out the Patreon patrons that monthly support Full Buddy Cast. So we've got Kellen Hall, Holly Graff, Adam Kenny Art, Seth Loop, Cassie Spencer, Amanda Keating, Shekinah Sarver, Jared Skelly, Homer Robertson, Ben Illman, Jamie Roberts, the Dashing Jamie Kenny, Apollo Doodle, Jackson Sidook, Sasha Carey Lynn from Edison City Ale House, Thomas Savageau, Councilman Anthony Wright, Real Estate Tycoon, Cameron Stratton, Katri Hoban, Homer, The Vet, Jackie Van Hoof, and Dan Coots Snyder. Thank you very much for your monthly support. I love you guys. So appreciate it. It puts the gas in the tank to keep me going. And I also want to shout out Nick Tanner for hitting me up on that Facebook Messenger saying, hey, I got a guy that you need to meet. And met him. Thank you for being on as well.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I hope we can do this again. This is fun.
Well, we got the cliffhanger. We have to do it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. You just tell me when, man. Like I said, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays are my days off, so I'm more than happy to come here at your leisure and welcome. So I think it'd be a lot of fun.
So you got
like I said, I've got a ton of other stories, dude. Like, trust me, just one hell of a life. I'm one of the main reasons that the monorail doesn't go down 15th Avenue West in Ballard, Northwest.
Lots of cliffhangers. I
fought that shit. I fought it. So I'm very political minded too, man. I'm very much into the political realm of things
all of
nowadays.
it going on.
Oh yeah.
So it is an election year, so you're probably jazzed up. What?
Yes, I am. Oh yes.
Is your
the shout outs? My shout outs is going to be first to my family in Virginia, the Mattaponi Indian tribe in West Point, Virginia, King William County. My little sister, Maria Robbins, who was, Pharrell Williams.
Yes.
His gospel choir that he put together for that Networks documentary.
Yeah.
My sister was one of the 25 sopranos that were chosen. Maria Robbins. She's about to become Maria Neifeld, or no, she's Maria Custalow. I'm sorry, Maria Robbins was her previous married name. Maria Custalow is my sister. She's about to get married in May, right before my grandson comes.
Wow.
These people throwing all of this emotional stuff at me at the same, like right in May. But yeah, she's about to get married to a very sweet guy. Also, shout out to my other little sisters, Audrey and Christy, and my brothers. They'll never hear this, but just in case they ever do, don't feel left out. Shout out to the people that worked with me on the Waterboys, Jamie, Richie, and Scott Sams. Scott Sams, you like racing, obviously. Yeah. So Scott Sams, he on my show, he was called Stock Car Scott. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He has a YouTube channel, Stock Car Scott. He goes to all the race places. A good old boy from Alabama, from Athens, Alabama. He used to watch the show. He called in, and I had an open door policy, which is funny. That was the first church I ever went to when I met my father the first time. It was called Open Door Baptist Church. So I had an open door Southern Baptist mentality about it. But I told people, if you want to be part of the show, you want to work on the show, be part of it, you have something you want to submit, met a lot of good people like that. But anyhow, we met Scott. He came, watched the show, called in one night and said, why don't y'all talk more NASCAR on there? And I said, where are you from, country boy? And he said, from Alabama. I said, well, I'm from Virginia. I said, tell you what, man, if you want, you can come on down here. We'll set you up in the corner over there and put a camera on you for a few minutes every week, and you can fill in people on the world of stock car racing. So he did, and he and I have been the best of friends for over 20 years. So just this past summer, I finally broke down, acquiesced, and I went to Tenino with him, right? South Sound. Had the best time. J.J. Hamilton.
Yeah.
So big fan of him because he's got the 11 car, and I'm Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin all the way, baby. Like, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. You know, my boy Denny. He's, there's that connection. So that's why I've been a Raiders fan for all my life. I started rooting for the Seahawks because they drafted Russell Wilson. I was like, hey, you've got a Richmond, Virginia guy on your team. I'm gonna root for you. I'm like, you want me to root for you? Get a guy from Richmond, Virginia, or a Tar Heel. You get either of them on your team. I'm rooting for you. But yeah, Scott's been an absolute godsend of a friend. I tell you what, even after the show went off the air, that man saved my life one night. Oh, wow. Like he doesn't have the same beliefs as me in the higher power, but he's respectful of it. And I told him, I said, well, just because you don't believe in God doesn't mean he don't believe in you. Because one night he was out just delivering, and he called me at 3:00 in the morning, and I told you all that stuff I was on. Suicide Cocktail, come to find out. Oh, wow. And, I'm going through a divorce. I'm in this world of physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain. I'm in hell, and the devil is dancing. And he called up, said, what you doing, boy? I said, nothing. He says, well, something told me I should give you a call. So he said, okay if I stop by? I was like, sure. He swung by. That swinging by saved my life because what he didn't realize, he's on the phone with me, is I'm staring down at that Sig Sauer 40 caliper in front of me. Because in my mind, I'm like, there's just two paths here, a life of excruciating pain or not. And I've never been that way, ever. Like, sober, I mean, you get me drunk, you can keep me up for a week on, that, stuff. And I still want to live. Like, I want to live. But those pills, man, what that shit did to me is just wicked. And so so he's that kind of friend.
That's good.
So I tell him, I say, hey man, God has a plan, like whether you realize it or not. It. So
I'm in.
So I think you'd like him. But so on the shout out, sorry, I don't go long winded. On the shout outs to my daughter, Kylie, and her wonderful man, Victor, and my grandson, Frog. and my other grandson coming, who's going to get a cute little nickname like that too. And then who else should I shout out to? All the lovely ladies out there that haven't met me.
I want to get a smile. Get a nice
there
smile.
You go.
There you go.
Yeah. Get a good picture of that smile. I spent a lot of money on those teeth. And a shout out to all the Teamsters at the Safeway Distribution Center. All my trucker brothers in 763, 174, and 117. Teamsters, we keep America rolling, baby.
Hey, I love it. Real quick. You said you had a YouTube channel.
I do. It's called Nikki. Well, it's NIKKISTCUSTALOW. So
which spells what?
Nikki Saint Custalow. But it's also, you might be able to find it under Painted Horse. And if you scroll through there's a few videos. I auditioned for Stone Temple Pilots back in 2016. So there's a couple of songs that the tracks where I laid my vocals on. And then there's a band that I was with in 2011 and 12 called Haunting the Disconnect. I wrote a song called Petulant.
Ever?
No, I did what's that comedy club in downtown Seattle? The Catwalk.
It was the guy the Sonics guy.
Comedy improv night. What's that?
It was Sonics guy. Was the Sonics guy? Remember him? He passed away during COVID, but he had a big old fro. He was always wearing Sonics gear, trying to bring our Sonics back. He owned, He owned a comedy club out there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, I never did get to do that. No, I met those Save Our Sonics guys or whatever. I met those guys one time at Herfy's Burgers over in Georgetown. It was amazing how, I met Reggie Rogers. I was having lunch with Puget Sound Energy. Me and some other workers, field techs, we were having lunch, and I just happened to walk outside. I don't know if I was having a smoke or what I was doing, but I walked outside, and there's this huge black man wiping his Cadillac off right in front of the, like there's a laundromat, dry cleaner, whatever, laundromat. And I looked at him and I said, "Hey man, I asked you a question." He's like, "What's that?" I said, "What NFL team did you play for?" And he looks at me and smiles because I just straight up just asked him. Like, he goes, "What makes you think I played for the NFL?" I said, "Because anybody your size has played for the NFL. If they haven't, they should have." And he started laughing. He says, "I'm Reggie Rogers."
Wow.
You know who Reggie Rogers is?
No.
Okay. So Detlef Shrimp. You know who
Yeah.
Detlef? Okay. So Detlef played basketball at. Reggie was on the team with him.
On the Sonics?
On the Huskies team.
Oh, the Huskies. I got you.
But he was a defensive end for the Huskies football team, and he was drafted number 7 by the Detroit Lions.
Oh, really?
At the time, he was the highest drafted defensive lineman ever. Like, that was the highest ever. Unfortunately, alcohol and drugs derailed his career. Well, he killed somebody. I think he killed his brother or somebody in an accident. He's passed on since, Reggie has, unfortunately. But, yeah, I just... My ex-brother-in-law Tim would tell you, he's like, we had a dinner one night with the whole family, and he's like, I've been doing this, photographing these people. He went with Oprah to Hawaii when she did like the Runner's World magazine, when she was on the cover of Runner's World. That's my ex-brother-in-law Tim DeFrisco.
Oh, wow.
So he's sitting there telling everybody at this big dinner, it's the whole family, and he's like, I'm around these people all the time. He goes, I hardly say 3 words to him. He goes, Nick walks up to him, starts having conversations with him like he's known him all his life. Right. He goes, and the crazy thing is they just start talking back like they've known him all their life. Right. And it's like, because it's fascinating, because he goes, I'm expecting them to like go, who's this guy? And he just immediately puts him at ease. And I'm like, well, yeah, man, because I'm treating him like a human being. Right. And you'd be amazed at how many people don't, and it's like, and everybody wants something from him. And when I come up and I'm like, all I want is a conversation with you, a human to human interaction here. I think it kind of like, they're like, wow, this is refreshing. Like, this guy actually just wants to talk and have, like, not ask stupid, mundane, same old dumbass questions, So what did the defense do tonight? It's like, ugh. Yeah. So I guess I have that kind of effect. But shout outs to all of those fine folks that
we gotta
allow
save
me
some
to be
of these
here.
Shout outs.
Yeah,
we gotta save some of these shout outs. Hey, everyone,
and shit outs. I don't know about shit outs.
Don't worry about that. Then we're not. You've already the 2 minutes is turned into 20, which I love. That's how you can do. You can talk.
Politicians. How about politicians?
So go check out Painted Horse or Nikki Saint
Custalow. It's like NIKKISTCUSTALOW.
Go subscribe to his channel.
That's on YouTube. I'm also Painted Horse 9 on Rumble. So rumble.com/Painted Horse 9.
And Grindr, which one?
Not anymore. They kicked me off. I was too aggressive. No, I'm also on X as Painted Horse 999. And Facebook is Billy Painted Horse Custalow, although I'm very hesitant on adding people on there too frivolously because, it's kind of...
Who knows what can do that?
Well, I mean, I'll share a lot of stuff publicly, but some of it's like, just for the family and friends and all.
You got to keep it.
It's, you start having, strangers coming into your friends list and all of a sudden they're making comments about stuff that you're like, dude, I'll let you in the inner sanctum and you defile it.
That's what you're doing to me?
Okay.
All right. Well,
dude, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, we're going to have you on again. Obviously, we got to hear about how you almost killed Axl Rose.
Yeah, that's a hell of a story, man.
And then we're also, I want to see the journey. So I'm going to subscribe to your channel. And do you have videos up already?
I do not. Okay. No.
So
this is the right here.
This is it.
This is the impetus right here.
Dude, you could easily do this by yourself. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
So you get where I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have the bounce off guy, kind of like the straight man. And
because you're giving me someone to talk to, like I can look you in the eye and tell you this and like see your reaction. Whereas looking at the camera, I'm not seeing that, and that I guess I'm just kind of visceral that way. Yeah. I like that, and that was the great thing about being on this show was when I would crack the jokes to see the reactions. Like one of my favorite things was to hear the crew cracking up laughing loud. They're laughing so loud that you can hear it. Like I love that because I'm like, all right, cool, that one worked. But and not only that, but when I tell the stories, to see the people's eyes light up, like wow, and it gives me rev. Like okay, so you do agree that this is like this was crazy, because I'm thinking, is this really as crazy as I think it is? Or is it just mundane?
That's how I.
And then people's reaction are like, oh, "Wow, what? Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Well, here, check this." So and that's
what I tell people when they come in We had a conversation on the phone. I couldn't get you off that phone, by the way, which is fine.
I know. It felt like I was on the podcast.
I was out to dinner with my wife, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll take this." I don't know what this.
I'm sorry. I had no
It
idea.
wasn't your fault. I should have said something. But the thing is, I'm like, that's the thing. It's like I've had when people come in and they want to catch up, and I'm like, we're not catching up.
Right.
Get on the microphone.
Right.
I want authentic. There's a point. This is a little behind the scenes for people that are still listening. There's a point where this stopped recording, and then luckily we caught it, and he maybe went like 30, 40 seconds in where I had caught it. So it wasn't he, but he had to go retell it. When something's retold, it doesn't work out, you know. So it's like so that's why I'm like, I need authentic. I need things to be authentic.
Right.
I need to take this phone call actually. We're good?
Yes.
Thanks
absolutely.
for being on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank you, sir.
you guys. Love you
All right,
guys.
Travis. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Welcome to the greatest of the greatest, a podcast that you never knew you needed, with interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice, asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Full Buddy Cast.